Hey everyone, this is Teresa from Artistry by Teresa. I just want to do a quick tutorial on how you can get the most vibrant blues and purples in your eyeshadows. Now, I've been hearing a lot of people talk about they have really big issues when it comes to wearing blues and purples for eyeshadows, and a lot of them avoid wearing it because they feel like their skin tone just doesn't complement it well, or they just don't think they know how to apply it on correctly. And all of these things may have a problem or may be caused by just some small issues that you just need to combat. And I will address those issues today. I will safely say that most people can wear purples and can wear blues if you're able to do these particular techniques. So I will show you exactly what you can do so that you can wear your blues and your purples from your eyeshadow palettes. All right, so first and foremost, I'm going to address where most women of color usually have a slight discoloration around the eyes. And I purposely did my makeup today without my concealing. As you can see, I put on my eyeshadows, I put my brows on, and even did a little bit of concealing on my lid, but I did not put any type of concealer underneath my eyes. And as you can see, I do have some darkness around my eyes here, okay? And that is just based upon hyperpigmentation and discoloration. And most women of color, as well as women of other Caucasians, any ethnicities, usually have this issue. Some become anywhere between a grayish hue or even dark brown. Okay, so the best thing to do, first of all, is to combat that issue. Okay, so the best thing to do when you are having to wear, or you want to wear, a blue or purple eyeshadow is you need to put on a corrector. Now, what corrector does is that they actually neutralize the darkness that you do not want around the eyes. Okay, and they come in different forms. This is a little different from concealing, which I will do another video based on what's the difference between neutralizers and concealers. Okay, so neutralizers are a little different from that. They typically correct a problem, versus concealers, of course, just based on the name, conceals the problem. So I keep a palette here with my different types of correctors, okay? And they, as you can see, they range from different ranges, from the yellows to the peaches, anywhere from the nice warm brown, dark peach is what we generally call, to the orange peach, as well as even the red, okay? And they are generally there to help conceal any type of darkness or discolorations that you do not want on the skin. So for me personally, I typically go with the dark red. Now, what dark red does is it actually conceals anything that's considered to be more brown and even slight purple. Okay, so I do have some brown discolorations under my eyes. It doesn't as obvious, but if I really want that blue as well as that purple to pop, I don't want any, I mean absolutely any darkness around the eyes. Okay, so I want to definitely reiterate that if you're choosing to wear the purples and browns, you do not need to have any other discolorations anywhere near or around the eyes. Okay, so I'm going to put that on one side of my face first so you can see the actual difference. So I'm going to take some of it, and I'm going to use a little tiny brush, a little bit. When I tell you, a little bit goes a long way. If you find that you're putting a lot on there, you're doing way too much. So I just kind of hit that area where I do not want to see any darkness. And I just kind of pat it in around the eyes. Now, this is the most delicate area of the face, so you do not want to do anything like really excessive, but just simply just pat it in. Okay, and it comes off as a little reddish on me. Okay, but anywhere where I do not want that darkness, I just apply that. Okay. Now, again, I will go into a little bit more details about, correctors in another video. But for today, purposely for today, I'm just going to show you the difference between using a corrector and how it does affect the colors such as blues and purples on the face. Okay. All right. So I did that. And so that's the first thing you definitely need to think about. Do you need to conceal around the eyes? Do you need to neutralize around your eyes? Is there any discoloration or hyperpigmentations that you need to address first and foremost before dealing with purples and blues? Okay, the second thing you need to think about is, are you a warm or are you a cool? Okay, now I'm going to use my color palette wheel, my color wheel here. You may have seen these before, to kind of explain to you why this is really important. Okay, so as you can see from the color wheel, there are different types of blues and purples, right? And from there, you can tell that, of course, starting at the base, which is a true purple, and the further you go up, you're going to get a little bit more warmer, or this way, you're going to get a little bit more cooler. Okay, so you may want to think about, are you truly a cool or are you truly a warm base? Okay, so how do you determine that? Okay, I have two different palettes here. All right, one is a more warmer tone, the other is a more of a cooler tone. Now again, I'm going to demonstrate on my face exactly what that does to the skin. All right, so on my hand, I'm going to use the purple and the blues, and I'm going to use the warm palette for that. All right, so I'm going to take a little bit of shadow from that. So I'm going to do the purple. This is out the warm palette, and I'm just going to put it on my hand. And you may be able to see it or may not. So that's the purple, okay, from the warm palette. And then I'm going to use the blue from my warm palette, okay. Now on my other hand, I'm going to use, on the cool side, the cool palette, I'm going to do a purple. That's from the purple cool. And then I'm going to use the blue from the purple cool palette. And that's the blue. So based on what you see here, the side that you want to determine is whether how vibrant you want your shadows to be and which one seems to complement you the most. Okay, so what it looks like, the one that seems to look very, very much complementary on mine is the warm, because it has a nice natural look to it, versus this one maybe a little sits on top, maybe even has a little bit more of a brown. But honestly, it really depends if that's the look you're wanting. But right now, what we're really determining is whether or not you are a warm or are you a cool. So looking at my hands, the colors that seem to seep in the most would be the warm. The one that sits on top for me is the cool. So I more than likely would be a warm base, okay? That one is going to be more complementary to my skin tone versus the cool. Okay, so that we've determined that I'm a warm base. Now let's talk about concealing. Okay, so now we are thinking about concealing product underneath the eye. Okay, so we want to find a concealer that complements my skin tone the most, and we've determined that warm tones is probably the better one because it's going to look more natural on the skin versus a cool. All right. Okay, so I have pulled out two of my foundations or concealers that I like to use. Okay, and I use them both personally. All right, so this here, and by the way, this is from Artistry by Teresa, my product line. So these will be out sometime in the fall, hopefully. But as you can see, there's a difference between the two. One is a little bit warmer. The other one is a little bit more yellow. And that will determine how I really want my foundation and my concealing to look in the long run. Okay, so looking at this color wheel again. Okay, looking at the color wheel, it looks like what we have to do, anything opposite from the color wheel is going to be the color that it truly is the opposite. It means it's actually going to be its opposite match. Okay, so if you want more of a purple, if you like that really true blue purple, then you're going to want to put on a yellow base for it to show up really well. Okay, if you're wanting something that's a little bit less on the opposite of the blue, you want that to be more your true pop color, then you want to stick to more of an orangier base, okay, in your concealing and foundation. So let's say I really would like my blue to pop. I'm going to go with more of a orangier base concealing because I really want that to show up really, really nicely. Versus a yellow might be a little bit more on the, like it's gonna make it a little bit more cooler than I would like. But if I want that color to really be vibrant, I'm gonna go with something a little bit more orangier. So based on my concealing, I'm gonna go with something like this versus something like this. And I'm going to demonstrate the difference in seeing that in just 1 second. All right, I'm back. Now, can you see the difference between the two? Okay, so basically what I did, I just applied my two concealers. Okay, one is more of a yellow base. The other one is more of an orange base. Okay, and you can actually see the subtle difference in the two. All right. Now, also, can you tell there's a little bit more concealed on one side than the other? One side you really can't see so much of the actual darkness. The other side you can kind of see there's still a little bit more of a shadowing effect that's going on here. So you can still notice that even with those concealing that I did, there's still, this one has a little bit more of a coverage because of the neutralizer that I used. Whereas this one is still some slight shadowing that's occurring right in here. And that's going to become very important in one moment when I explain to you, or once we put the shadows on as well. So you just want to make sure that everything is blended well and that everything is covered the best way that you can get it to cover. Okay, awesome. Now, today I'm going to put on blue. So I'm going to demonstrate to you what does blue necessarily look like on the skin. Okay, I am back. All right, so I'm looking at the concealing, and once again we talked about the warmer side versus the cooler side. Okay, this side here is typically the cooler side, is more yellow, versus this side is a little bit more warmer, which it has a little bit more of an orange tint. So now I'm going to go ahead and apply the actual eyeshadow to the face, and I'm going to use this blue right here so that you can see a difference. Now, here again, like I mentioned before, you know, blues are very good to wear, okay? And pretty much anybody can wear them. It really depends on how much you really want it to pop. Do you want that blue to look a little bit more subtle, or do you want that blue to look a little bit more vibrant? And to reiterate a little bit more on that color wheel that I had mentioned earlier, is that that blue is opposite of the yellow orange. Okay, so that means that if I put that same blue on this side, it's going to definitely give me a nice little pop. That blue is going to look a little bit more vibrant. Versus I use that blue and I'm more over here, I'm basically making it a little bit more subtle. Okay, and you will see a difference in just a moment. So let's do that. I'm going to put this blue on, and I'm going to put it on the cooler side. Okay, and I'm just going to put it on the lid area first, just to give it just a little idea where it's closer to the face. So I'm just going to put that on there. Okay. All right, so see how that blue is nice and vibrant. It's popping, and it's more on the yellow side because it's more complementary. So it's going to allow that side to do a little bit, it's going to have a little bit more pop to it. Okay, now on the other side, let's put the same color. Same amount as well. Okay. Now you can tell that on one side it looks a little bit more complementary. It has a little bit more subtlety to it, you know, because it's against the orange side, versus this side is a little bit more vibrant. Same color, same intensity, same application. Just simply one side is going to look a little bit more subtle. Another side is going to look a little bit more vibrant. Okay, so hope this helps you. Again, those 3 things that you need to consider, the 3 things you definitely need to consider in wearing blues and purples eyeshadows are: 1, correct the areas that you do not want to see darkness. Anytime you wear blues and purples, it's going to accentuate the darkness of your circles. Okay. Also, the second thing, you want to make sure that you are warm or are you cool. You need to make sure that those things are determined before you even apply an eyeshadow color. Okay, so because of the warmthness, you may get a different type of intensity, or the coolness may give you a different type of intensity depending on what you're wanting and what you're looking for in your purples and in your blues. And then lastly, making sure that the colors that you're using are on the same pattern or the palette that you particularly want. Choosing a warm purple versus a blue or a cool purple, or are you choosing a warm blue or a cool blue? Okay, so I hope this helps. Please check out my other videos on Artistry by Teresa. I have a YouTube channel as well as my IG channel, and please check out my website, which is artistrybyteresa.com. And I definitely am very, very happy that you all are joining me today on this tutorial. So I hope this helps. I want to see some more people out there wearing some vibrant purples and some vibrant blues. And I will hope to have you check on with me again soon. We'll talk a little bit later. Bye-bye.